So before we start this video, I need to sit down and help little Junior get started on his math homework. So hang on a second. All right, sit down and get started, Junior.
Why?
Because homework's important.
Why?
Well, because you'll need it when you're older.
Why?
Because the guy behind the counters might try to rip you off one day.
Why?
Well, because he's a jerk and he likes taking advantage of little kids.
Why?
Just freaking do it already, just do it! Whew. That escalated quickly. People communicate in a way that feels comfortable to them. My little young son in this video, a high C, always has to have that question why answered. And then at some point I just blow my top as an I because I just want him to get stuff done and move on with my other things that are fun in my life. So discovering more about how we communicate and why that can be a stress trigger, that's what our video is all about today. Stay tuned. So understanding miscommunication starts with understanding myself. How do I give and receive information? How am I wired? What's the lens I look through every day to give and receive that information? In our next slide, we're going to take a look at some methodology that breaks down how each person is a little bit of this and a little bit of that when it comes to communicating directly versus softly. Sharp edges or nice rounded edges. Party or let's have a plan. Take a look. Outgoing folks and reserved folks. So when I talk about this outgoing personality style, these folks are fast-paced, involved, energetic, optimistic, positive, enthusiastic. Woo! Take the leg by the tail, just sling it around and throw it somewhere. When conflict comes along, however, though, they focus on talking things out. Hey, Alicia, how are you? Hey, can I help you? Can I help you? Hey, you good? You good? You good? You good? You good? And she wants to slap my hand away. And so if she's more a reserved person, she's going to be a little bit slower paced. Now that doesn't mean she works slowly. That means just she's slow to act or get engaged because she wants to think things through before she speaks. So they're cautious folks, they're concerned, they're reluctant, critical thinkers and always discerning. And when conflict comes along for them, they focus on thinking things through. Should I? Nope. But don't have all the facts yet. And that's their mentality. All right, so where are you on that scale of outgoing versus reserved? If you're outgoing, kind of remember that I'm towards the top of the screen. If you're reserved, you're more towards the bottom of the screen. We're going to divide you into people person or if you're more of a task-oriented person. People-oriented folks are all about caring and sharing and relationships and emotions and feelings and friendships. They focus on the opinions of others and how they feel. So we tend to be pretty emotional, and I am very much a people-oriented person. I'm an emotional guy. You know, I cried during the movie Frozen. Nobody does that, but I did because my daughter was there, and she's gonna have a boyfriend one day and get married. And she said, "Pull it together, Dad." Anyway, because she's more of a task-oriented person. She's all about procedure and function and forms and programs and processes and analytics. She focuses on getting things done at the end of the day. So now you're finding yourself on the top of the screen or the bottom of the screen and you're on the left side or right side. So let's define a little bit about what each one of these quadrants mean. So we've got these outgoing task-oriented people. We're going to call you high Ds or dominant styles. Never met a challenge you couldn't face, love to be in charge, take charge mentality. Then we've got our outgoing and people-oriented folks. Those are our inspiring styles. We're going to call you high Is. Just love influencing others, oozing charisma all the time, just like to be in and around people. You're all about having fun. And then we have our supportive styles. Those are our reserved and people-oriented. Kind folks, make super friends. They're great listeners, give you the shirt off their back. They're just wonderful people and the glue of any organization. And then we have our high Cs, which are our reserved and task-oriented people. These folks are analytical. They are, think about accountants, lawyers, doctors, those kind of people who are just high-level thinkers. These people are the E.F. Hutton of the disc world. If you remember the old commercial, when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. That's right, people listen. So C's don't really say a whole lot most times, but when they do, they've really thought through what they have to say, and it's usually like, oh, pretty epic in terms of the results of that. Now, we're all a unique blend of these four traits. So we all have a little bit of D, a little bit of I, a little bit of S, and a little bit of C, some in more categories than others. I'm an IS. My I is really, really high, my S is really high, and then everything else kind of falls towards the bottom of the scale. So certain people stress us out more than others. And from a DISC perspective, each letter, D, I, S, and C, represent a specific percentage of the population. Let's take a look and see which percentage of the population applies to you. So what percentage of the population does each style represent? Well, if we look, we'll have our Ds at 10%. 10% of the population, the smallest percentage. And it's usually this time during the video where I stop and take a little moment to say a little prayer and thank God that there's only 10% of the population that are IDs, because they are seriously on fire about execution and getting things done. Then we look at our Is. Our Is are 25 to 30% of the population. The fun people, the people that bring the creativity and the spontaneity into the world. Then our biggest percentage belongs to our high S's. S's at 30 to 35% of the population. Those folks who love harmony, the peacemakers. We love our high S's. Now, if you would, take a moment to imagine a world where we switch the D and the S. If D's were 30% of the population and those S's were only 10%, what kind of world would that be? We'd be on like World War XVII by now, because there's just too many people trying to be in charge. So there's a balance there. So 10% on those D's, and thank God, 30 to 35% on those S's. And then our C's, those analytical folks, 20 to 25% of the population. So your accountants, your lawyers, rocket science, engineers, all those people live in that C world. Thankfully, we have a lot of those folks because they bring order to the chaos of some of those other styles. So let's start with the work environment in terms of how miscommunication can easily trigger us. Let's say you're a high C. High C's are task-oriented but reserved. So they're going to keep their head down. They come into work with 35,000 things on their list to do. They're going to start and just get busy, get busy, get busy. If I'm a high I, which I am, whoop, whoop, then I'm going to come over their cubicle and say, hey Keith, how was your day? Hey Keith, what'd you do last night? Hey Keith, did you see the Super Bowl? Hey Keith, are you a Chiefs fan? And they're going to like, dragon's going to come out of their head and attack me, because they just want to get things done. So they're easily triggered by something that I think is just natural. I would want to talk about the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm an I, that's what I do. But a C, they're reserved. Okay, and task-oriented. They've got things to do. They don't have time for your namby-pamby sports or The Voice or Gold Rush or whatever kind of crazy reality TV show you're watching. They don't care about that stuff. When they're there to work, they're there to work. So that's an easy trigger for them. Let's take a look at D's and S's. D's, moving fast, thinking fast, pivoting, taking risks. S's, no way. Okay? Much more about the people and about how things affect them and their teams when they're at work. So a D is going to come into an S's office and go, hey, Jen, I need this for me right now. I got 3 weeks behind. We got to get this done. Let's go. And the S is like, and they're super overstimulated because of so much information so fast and in a very demanding way. So that can easily trigger an S. And then if an S is the supervisor and they come into the D's office and they say, hello, David, the high D. I just got your results back from your evaluation. I'd like to go over them with you. That D's like, okay. So it says here, works well with others. You got a needs improvement. I'd like to talk with you a little bit about that, David. And the D's like, would you freaking just hurry up and land your plane? I got things to do. Just tell me I stink or tell me I'm great, but just let's get it over with. Because they need to move fast and get on to the next thing. They'll improve. Just tell them what they need to do and they'll fix it. They don't need to have it all polished up and, oh, it's going to be okay, and we're going to work together. No, they don't need any of that. So you can see where a D might be triggered by an S. So in that last example where we have a D working with an S, if the D continues to speak like a D and the S continues to communicate like an S, they're going to have this conflict, this clashing. Okay? We're going to have a lack of emotional adaptation. So what do I mean by that? Well, you're out of phase if you're trying to communicate your way and the person is not your same personality style. We saw that D's were 10% of the population, S's are the largest percent of the population. Well, as a D, if you're speaking to everyone else like a D, you're offending basically 90% of the world because only 10% are D's. So you're out of phase with everyone else. So how do we get into phase? Well, again, it goes back to that self-awareness piece. The next thing we're going to see is a slide that has my personality style on it. And we're going to explain to you about energy and adaptation and how that works when you're working with others. Take a peek. When you take an assessment, you'll have two different styles. You'll have an environmental style and a basic style. We're going to talk about the basic style today. On the screen right now, you see my personal basic style graph, and you see my D is a 38, my I is 100, my S is a 92, my C is a lowly little 12. And so what does that mean? Well, if you look at that midline there, that little gray line that goes right across the screen, that's going to be right at the 50 percentile. So any bar that's above the 50% is a predominant trait for you. So in my instance, my I is 100, so I'm an I, but my S is also a 92. It's above that midline, so I'm an IS blend. The order is determined by whichever the higher number is. Now you can be a blend of 3, you can be just a single, you can be a blend of all 4. Someone who's got all 4 around the 50 percentile is what we call level. So in my particular example, I am an IS, and so things that, or behaviors that I would do that are around an IS come easy for me. So for example, speaking to large groups of people. As 100 on the I scale, man, I can do that twice a day, all day long. Let's do it on Sundays, whenever. I get a lot of energy and enjoyment from that. My S is a 92, so I get a ton of emotional energy from helping other people. So that's why I love to work summer camps and influence young people. That's why I like to help other people in the workplace and doing these videos for you guys free of charge to help you be better than you were before you met me. But then you've got my lowly little C of a 12. And so when I have to go back and organize these videos and talk to my YouTube team about those kind of things, man, that's a struggle for me because it takes a lot of emotional energy for me to climb that ladder to get from that 12 above the midline, so I'm able to do those things from the C perspective with a certain degree of proficiency. Now, can I do them? Yes, I can certainly do them. As a CEO of a billing company, I also have to do this every month, and the worst time of the month for me as a CEO is the end of the month. Why? Because that's when reports are due. And gosh, I have to take a look at pro formas and P&Ls and projections, and I can't stand that stuff. And so I have to really adapt my behavior to get inside of myself in terms of what do these numbers mean and what does this mean for our company. So it requires a lot of energy. I can look at a spreadsheet for 15 minutes and feel like I've been digging ditches for 8 hours straight. It just takes so much energy from me. So when we're talking about this basic graph roll, anything that's above the midline, also called an energy line, you gain energy from. Anything below that midline, you're going to be losing energy. When you don't understand yourself, you can't possibly understand and work well with others. So what does that mean? Well, that means that you're a loser. No, I'm just kidding, you're not a loser. Got you, April Fools. It's got to be April 1st, right? When is this video coming out, video team? Okay. Who knows? No, but when you don't understand yourself, you can't effectively communicate with others. Let's see how each style communicates in their normal way so you can learn how to adapt to them. Take a peek. D's are direct. They're going to shoot straight, so you shoot straight back at them. They come up in your face, you get up in their face. They walk a little closer, you walk a little closer to them. It doesn't matter, because if you don't and you back off, that's going to be a sign of a weakness to them. So show strength to those D's. I's are about influencing others. They want to see your passion, your enthusiasm. If you come in there like a cold, dead fish, you're not going to get that promotion. You're not going to be leading that project because they want you to feel the same passion that they have. So go for it. S's are great listeners, and they're always concerned about the welfare of others. So anytime you're talking about a project or anything like that, it's always about what's going to impact for the team. How's that going to impact the team? How are people going to be involved? Do we have to hire people, fire people? If you do that, you're going to get to the conscience and the heart of a person, and that's what those S's love. C's, God bless you. I love you guys. You are those analytical folks. And so when you have those analytical people that you're talking to, keep it to the facts. Just the facts, ma'am, as they said back in the Dragnet days. Don't come in there with all the bells and whistles and how product 2.5 is going to be better than product 2.0. It's going to be great. No, none of that, okay? Keep it straight. Hand them the facts. Let them think about things before you ask them what they feel or what the next steps should be. If you do that, you'll thank me later. If your partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, fiance, or whomever, if they know your personality style and you know theirs, you can better adapt, but you can also better anticipate how they're going to react in certain situations. Let's say that you're buying a home, for example. A high D is going to want to have a home that just screams success from the curb. And when you walk in the front door, there has to be this aha factor that just says, ooh, this house is just awesome, dude. I mean, look at that thing up there. Oh, it got pillars. And so that screams for a D. And if it doesn't, then it's not going to work. So you as an I, an S, or a C, if you're married to that D, you need to know that. You need to anticipate that. So before you ever walk out the door to talk to that realtor, you kind of know, hey, curb appeal, that's a big thing for them, whether they want to say it or not. So as we learn about our other styles, we come to the conclusion, and we should, if we haven't, then you should, that no style is right or wrong. There is no communication style that's better than another. D's are gonna speak directly, that's how they're wired. I's are gonna lose focus from time to, what is that, a squirrel out there? It's like 6 feet of snow. How's it? Oh, sorry, I'm back. Okay, so I's lose our focus at a moment's notice. We suffer from shiny object syndrome. S's are gonna speak softer and that lower tone of voice, a little bit slower, with much more feeling. They're gonna prefer to listen to you versus talk. And the C's are gonna be very focused. A little bit of a furrowed brow, thinking about everything that's going on. You know, they're the kind of people that sit down when they go into a restaurant and they're analyzing the paths that the waiters and waitresses are taking from the back. They're like, okay, if they went around the island this way instead of going back around the bar, they'd save 12 seconds for every transaction. That'd be 14% more productivity. And my mind's going, I'm blown away. So everyone, you know, is unique in that way, but neither of them are right or wrong. They're all just who they are and how they're wired. Now, the quicker we understand that, the quicker we can be winning in relationships instead of doing this and fighting each other all the time. So how do we prevent ourselves from getting triggered in the first place? Well, we have to understand ourselves. We go back to that thing of understanding ourselves first, then we can understand others, and then we can eventually adapt our behavior. So when we understand ourselves first, we need a tool to help us do that. So there are assessments out there. There's EQ, EI, Myers-Briggs, and of course we use DISC. I have an assessment in the very bottom, okay, of this description that will get you right to our store page. And that store page has assessments for kids, teens, adults, sales situations, leadership, all that kind of good stuff. And the main thing you have to think about is, especially you high C's out there, what tactical, applicable knowledge, what tool do you have out there that's going to give you this information about your significant other? Because we can read that situation, sort of, if our emotional intelligence is fairly high, but what tools do you have? I'm waiting. You don't have any, right? Unless you have an assessment, some kind of objective measurement that tells you this is how they're wired and this is how I need to speak to them. So from understanding myself first, go out there and take the assessment. Stop this video once it's completed and you've seen all the rest of the stuff. That's right, you gotta watch it to the end. I know you see it, you can't just stop halfway. Once it's done, go down to that description, click on that link, take the assessment. You'll thank me later because you'll have a piece of data that will show you who you really are and how you're wired. And then the next step will be get an assessment for your spouse or significant other. Understand how they're wired so that you can create conversations that will transform your relationship and you guys will be the couple of the century. Stop now, description, assessment, link, buy. With me? Okay, see you on the next video.